You probably clicked on this video because you identify with the anger threatening to burst forth from behind the pleasant smile of a mother, daughter, sister, or lover. In a world made by men, for men, it's hard to not get frustrated. But when you are able to see and identify with other women, it makes that weight a little less heavy. And that's why we jam out to angry girl music and we enjoy movies where characters spiral out after being mistreated for a lifetime. And we enjoy books that will have a main character that might just finally say enough is enough and take back their agency. So, for you guys, I've compiled a list of 14 feminine rage fiction books. They are coming hot off the press this February. And make sure you stay until the end because I'm going to have a bonus book. If any of these books interest you, I'm going to have links in the description. The first book is Cruelty Free by Caroline Glenn. This book is horror, mystery, and literary fiction. It centers this main character who was this A-list actress until her baby goes missing, and she is called an unfit mother. So she is now coming back for revenge. Bloody revenge. This book tackles the issues of a lack of empathy for mothers. Just imagine your baby goes missing and people call you a horrible mother and blame you for it. But also society's treatment of female celebrities and the toxicity of beauty culture. The second book is The End of Romance by Lily Meyer. And this one is published February 3. It's a romance and a literary fiction. The main character has just escaped an abusive marriage, and so she's concluded that the way to happiness is no romance. But the problem is she starts having feeling for not one, but two men. This book grapples with the difficult issue of how do you rebuild your life after being in an abusive marriage and having your life controlled by another. But it also deals with the difficulty of not letting your past hurts keep you from love in the future. The third book is Trad Wife by Saratoga, Schaefer, and it is published on February 10. This book is a horror and mystery. It centers this trad wife influencer that admires other trad wife influencers and their success, which she sees a difference between her and them, and that's she doesn't have a baby yet. But different from what she shows online, her relationship with her husband isn't great, so she makes a wish for a baby, and this demonic creature comes to impregnate her. This book explores the concept of trad wife and also the impacts of their online popularity. It also explores the pressures of womanhood and the double standards that men have when it comes to parenting. The fourth book is She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovatcheva. I'm so sorry if I pronounce any of these authors' names wrong. This one is published February 10 and is a literary fiction and historical fiction novel. She Made Herself a Monster centers on two main characters. One of them is this woman who goes from village to village staging these horror scenes that she can miraculously come and solve. So basically, she's a con woman. And the second main character is this teenage orphan girl in the town that the other woman just arrived at. And she is being forced to marry the village captain, which I believe is like the mayor of the town. So these two join forces and they decide they're going to make a monster that is going to be vile enough to distract everyone long enough for the girl to escape. This book discusses the themes of taking back agency for one's self, also the demonization of women because, of course, this town believes they have a curse and that it's the fault of the orphan girl, and it discusses the wonderful theme of women supporting women. The fifth book is The Secret Courtesan by Kerry Chaput, and it is published February 10 as well and is a literary fiction and historical fiction novel Also similar to the last book, it is centered on 2 women, except these women are 400 years apart. The first main character is living in modern day, and she is risking everything because she has this theory. She wants to prove that this statue that is very SEXY was actually stolen and was created by a woman. The other main character is the one 400 years earlier who created that statue, and she is also risking everything to create her art because at that time it was illegal to create art that is risque. The most obvious theme in this book is the Matilda effect, which is the phenomenon in which a woman's work is stolen by a male colleague or somebody else. This book also explores the themes of silencing women and also the lack of respect for women in the workforce and in creative fields. The 6th book is The Wandering Queen by Claire Heywood, and it is published February 10 and is a historical fiction novel. Now, if I'm going to have a list of feminine rage fiction novels, I need to have a mythological retelling that is from the women's perspective so we can finally see their side of the story. And this is that one. It is the story of Dido. She is a woman who created and led Carthage and later fell for Aeneas, the hero of the Trojan War. The book explores the concepts of a woman's hard-fought journey to power and also how she wields that power, while it also grapples with the question of whether to choose power or love. The 7th book is The Jills by Karen Parkman, and it is published February 10th as well and is a literary fiction and mystery novel. The main character is a Jill, which is basically a cheerleader for the NFL team called the Buffalo Bills. And one of her fellow Jill cheerleaders goes missing, which is also her best friend, so she goes to try to find her. This book has the themes of women discovering their own strength and also found family in the way of sisterhood, or in other words, women supporting women. The 8th book is Eve by B.K. O'Connor and is published February 10 and is historical fiction. Eve is the retelling of the iconic story of Adam and Eve. So yes, she is that Eve. And it is from Eve's perspective this time, of course. The book forgoes biblical accuracy so that it is able to explore what Eve may have been feeling after the fall, with Adam's resentment and, of course, the toil that they now face. The book includes the concepts of the demonization of women. I mean, that is the start of the demonization of women, blaming all of sin on this one woman. Also even putting most of the blame on Eve instead of also on Adam. It also deals with the pressures of motherhood from the woman who is the mother of everyone, which probably more than quadruples the pressures. The 9th book is It's All in Your Head by Sabina Nordqvist, and it is published February 10 and is a romance. It has a main character who has a chronic illness and she is struggling to date because she is being told she's too difficult or too high maintenance because of her disability. But a new guy comes to her chronic pain support group and he is really sweet and accepting of all of her. He was a professional snowboarder before he was injured and was a notorious playboy. So while it is a cutesy romance, it also deals with the problems of women's health and women's disabilities not being taken seriously. The 10th book is Murder Bimbo by Rebecca Novack, and this one's published February 10th, and it is literary fiction. Murder Bimbo is a satire on today's politics and also a satirical literary thriller. The main character is an sex worker who is asked by undercover government agents to kill this politician called Meatneck. She only realizes after she was the perfect person to ask because she's disposable. This book most obviously explores the concept of some people being disposable, most often sex workers. I'm guessing it will also explore the issues within the sex industry, and this woman goes to a feminist investigative podcast to try to survive. So I'm guessing it'll have some satire and commentary on feminist podcasts and true crime. The 11th book is A Sociopath's Guide to a Successful Marriage by M.K. Oliver, and it is published February 17 and is a mystery. This one is another book that will probably make you laugh while also making you question society's norms. The main character is a wife and mother that has to keep everything together because of course her husband's not gonna help. So she's trying to keep together this picture perfect family while also now dealing with the fact that a stranger came into her house and so she had to stab him. And that's it. The 12th book is Bloodfire, Baby by Eirinie Carson. And it is also published February 17 and is a horror mystery. This story centers around this main character who is a new mother of a 3-week-old baby. And she is left alone because her husband decides this is the perfect time to go on a work trip. So, with nobody willing to help, she's dealing with postpartum, sleep deprivation, and now a figure is haunting her. And it is all driving her to the brink. This book deals with the picture-perfect motherhood that is advertised to women on social media as this main character goes into motherhood, having seen that on Instagram, while also dealing with the fact that so often the full weight of parenthood gets placed onto the mother, even when she has a husband. The 13th book is Kin by Tayari Jones, and it is published February 24th. And is literary fiction. The book is about 2 motherless girls who grew up as best friends. One of their mothers died and the other mother left. They grow up and their lives diverge in 2 very different ways, and they're now facing their own individual struggles. The book focuses a lot on female relationships between mothers and daughters and also between female friends, but it also addresses what it is like to be a woman in the American South. The 14th and final book, not including the bonus book, remember to stay for that, is Cleopatra by Saara El-Arifi. And this one's published February 24 and is historical fiction. Cleopatra is the story of Cleopatra. But told from her perspective this time, because so much is said about Cleopatra. She's called a seductress, she's called a villain, she's called so many things, and this book is allowing her to tell her story and set things straight. Of course, the huge theme of this story is the demonization of women, but also the rewriting of their stories. Now we're to the bonus book, which is a bonus book because it is actually not fiction. And unlike the rest of the books, it is not an adult book, it's a children's book. It is titled Angry Girls Will Get Us Through, and it is by Rebecca Traister. It'll be published February 17. In this book, Rebecca Traister discusses how girls are told from a young age to hide their anger so that they can remain pleasant for other people. And she also talks about this theory of hers that this is because historically, when girls get angry, change happens. So she kind of goes back and tells history and what changes happened when women finally got mad and made change happen. That's all the books I got for you today. Thank you so much for sticking around. Links to all the books mentioned will be in the description, as I said before, and you can also find links to anywhere else I'll be on the internet. If you liked the video, like the video, and if you want to see more, subscribe. I will see you next week in another video, but until then, have a good day and goodbye.